Read Chinese history in 24 minutes. 2.43 million years ago. A lightning strike as the sun slowly sets. The earliest ancestors of China, the Shihudu people of Shaanxi. It ignited the first fire in the history of human civilization. It also ignited the fire of Chinese civilization. Once the fire goes out, they should think again. Where to find the light in the dark night? In the long years that followed, from Wushan in Chongqing to Yuanmu in Yunnan, from Lantian in Shanxi to Tangshan in Jiangsu, all the way to Surin City to drill ears and make fire, our ancestors used nature to conquer nature. I lit the first fire with my own hands. The era of drinking blood like hair is over. It ushered in a new era of Chinese civilization. From now on, Waxia holy fire is endless. The time has come to about 7,000 years ago. At that time, most of the world was still in ignorance, ambiguous state, and Fuxi has united and unified China. Create a gossip fan. Tarzan invented musical instruments. Create sheet music. The original people used stone tools to paint on the walls. The boring days gradually become interesting. Now here's another very important thing. Fuxi founded the Tutenglong of the Chinese nation. So we're proud to call ourselves descendants of the dragon. 2,300 years later, that's about 4,700 BC, the Yellow River Basin gave birth to new tribes. Soon after, China broke out with a war of groundbreaking significance. Battle of the Deer. The two emperors of Yanhuang united to defeat the oil, unified the middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River. We can also be proud to call ourselves Yan, the descendants of Wang grow grains. Domesticated livestock. Waxia ancestors covered with thorns. The Chinese civilization is inherited in the same line. Endless life. For hundreds of years thereafter, the position of leader is passed on to those who are capable. Yao passed to Shun, Shun passed to Yu. Dayu opens the mountain every time. Flood into the sea. 13 years of cold and summer have finally succeeded in controlling the water. Dayu founded China, the first dynasty in history, the Xia dynasty. He turned the world into Kyushu. Jiuding, Baodaping. Dukan Zhao's Juju culture flourished in the Xia dynasty. After the death of Dayu, his son broke the tradition of concession. From then on, the throne was passed down from son to son. China has entered the family under the ancient population. They do it at sunrise, sunset, early drink, cultivate the field and eat, burned until naughty to store food and wine. Time flies by. About 400 years later, the Xia dynasty gave birth to let us know the tyrant. Shiji, our ancestors have long known. In the face of oppression, only resistance. So Sensitime prancing horse whip. After 20 years of war, the final poll was the first war in the Xia dynasty. Sensitime establishes Shang dynasty. This was the first dynastic change in Chinese history. It is also a precedent for taking the world by force. Sensitime breaks the immutable law of the Son of Heaven. But what remains unchanged is the eternal Chinese inheritance. The Shang dynasty was a time of brilliant culture and art. While fighting, they haven't forgotten to develop either. They defined 366 days as a cycle. Lots of oracles. Not only did they write down their prayers for immortals, down to private life, it also records the astronomical phenomena of solar and lunar eclipses. Exquisite bronzes flourish here. Wineholder dragon and tiger zun. Sacrificial supplies humu wuding. Xiang fangzun. Musical plays for sacrifices or expeditions. The chimes symbolize hierarchy and power. The ultimate bronze example. Only one piece. It can represent thousands of years of bronze development in China. Hengchang Qianyan Promotion Center. Jiang Zia went fishing and caught King Wen. Pulled the cart for 800 steps. Zhou dynasty, the top of the world for 800 years. However, an era will eventually come to an end. The time comes around 1046 BC. The talented and intelligent king of Shangzhuo is addicted to nine colors. The Daji cast a curse for torture. We are familiar with the story of the martial king harvesting Zhou. It kicked off. Battle of Makino. King Wu of Zhou inspired the end of the Shang dynasty's rule. China began the 790-year Zhou dynasty. King Wu of Zhou. Divide the princes to defend the world. More than 200 years later, King Yu, who was in love and annoyed, laughed wildly for Bo Mai Mei. The warlords in the Beacon play lost their country. On your own. The Zhou dynasty was divided into the Western Zhou dynasty, and the Eastern Zhou dynasty is divided into two periods. Spring and autumn period. The heroes of the spring and autumn period serve the world. No longer implicit. They hit from the Yellow River to the Yangtze River. Sun Wu wrote the book The Art of War. Influenced China for thousands of years. Duke Huan of Qi, the princes of Zhu, won basket become the first overlord in spring and autumn. Duke Wen of Jin saw the Turkish Union. Created a century-old foundation of Jin. His carpenter wiped out 12 countries in his lifetime. Lay a unified cornerstone for Qin Shi Huang. The king of Siti Zhuang Yiming is amazing. Win the Central Plains. King Gujian of Yu worked hard to dominate the southeast. At the same time that the princes ruled the world. Confucian Taoism, legalist Mohism, and so on. They are thinking in unison with 100 schools of thought. The book history is debated. Self-cultivation, governing the country and the world is rooted in the heart of every monarch. Meng's mother moved 3 times and finally achieved academic success. Traveled all over the world throughout his life. Advocate benevolence, righteousness, and goodness. Mosei wears straw shoes and walks the world. Propose adultery. Confucius traveled around the world for 14 years. The Analects of Confucius. Founding the Confucian school, Laozi advocated Taoism, law, and nature. In action. Write down the handed-down work, Tao Te Ching. The architect Lubin invented the toothed ink bucket. Civil engineering has taken on a whole new look. The first sword in the world, King Yu Gujian sword, 2,000 years and still sharp. Zheng's spoken chimes rewrote the history of world music. After more than 480 soldiers of all sizes, 52 vassal states were destroyed. Hundreds of small countries gradually merged into 7 large ones. We call them the Warring States 7. Here it is. Killing Bai Qi's life size is more than 70 battles undefeated. But he died in a war he never participated in. Zhao Kuo talks on paper. Loss of Zhao 400,000. The young good boy is like a complete return to Zhao. Let the world witness his emotional intelligence and courage. Lianpo went to Jin to plead guilty and became a story of the ages. Zhao's famous general Li Mu was framed by villains and sweated to death. The rice dumplings we ate is to commemorate Ku Yuan's martyrdom by jumping the river. Before leaving, the wind is sluggish by the lake and the water is cold. The strong man is gone. Although Jinki assassin Qin, it didn't stop Ying Zheng's journey. 221 BC. Win the government and destroy the princes and become the emperor. Do all things. The fragmented China was unified. The idea of unification since then take root in the hearts of future monarchs. Ying Zheng became the first emperor of China. Qin Shi Huang. He went south to 100 Yu. Baikang Zhongnu order the same text, unified currency and weights and measures. Build the Great Wall of Miles or the Mausoleum of Chinese Children in the canal. Communication between Changzhou and 2 rivers. Qin Shi Huang's terracotta still warriors standing in the east of the world. However, the newly unified dynasty, under the interweaving of various contradictions, in addition to the stupidity of Qin too, he paid one of the evidence. Shen Sheng said that princes and generals would rather have a kind of servant. Set off a wave of peasant uprisings. Liu Bang blindly roams the mountains to kill the white snake, strategizing to defeat the nobles thousands of miles away. Zhang Liang attached himself to Liu Bang, who was born in mud. Zhao Hiyu chases Han Xin, achieved Han Xin's guoshi unparalleled. The only one who has never been an emperor. But Xiang Yu, the overlord of Western Xiuqiu, he lost to Liu Bang, who he once despised the most, failed to return home. Ask yourself about Wu Jiang, Liu Bang, and the third knot of the Han dynasty each other. Wang Qin exterminates Liu Bang on the ruins of Qin. Founded the Darkhan dynasty for 405 years. The Han dynasty is further divided into the Western Han dynasty. This is the age of gold and iron horses. Emperor Wen of the Han dynasty Liu Peng is exempt from national rent. Create the beginning of the rule of Wen Jing, our Lantern Festival. It is because Emperor Wen of the Han dynasty celebrated the chaos of camping all rights. Emperor Liu Che selects a famous general to challenge Zhu Sun. From Dunhuang, Kui Enling makes the great princes no longer vassals. Young people will lead Huo cubing thousands of miles of gas. Zhongnu sealed Langru and needed Western Han dynasty horse and cavalry. All you can drink on Lake Baikal. From this moment on, we are called Chinese. The passionate Zhang Qian embarked on the journey. The initial western regions opened up the Silk Road, brought back carrots and pomegranates. Shen Tang said that those who offend me will be punished even if they are far away. The treasure of the world, Jinzui Yi, not only shocked China, it shocked the world. Our ancestors lived on the perimeter. The Pythagorean theorem was first proposed. Some of the achievements of the 9 arithmetic masterpieces of mathematics. More than 1,000 years earlier, the earliest medical classics, Wangdi Neijing. It eventually became a line in the Western Han dynasty. The Western Han dynasty conquered foreign enemies but lost at the hands of his own people. In 09 AD, Wang Mang, a foreign enterprise in the Western Han dynasty, cut off the big man at the waist, Han Jiangxin, achieved the bull-riding Emperor Lu Shu's open life. In 22A, Liu Zhu raised his army. 25 years of Liu Zhu proclaiming after himself ascending emperor. The throne, it took another 12 years to pacify the world. A fractured China is once again united. Lost to what we know. Harvesting mulberry is Lu Shu's illusion. Guangwu Jiangxing, well deserved. Liu Zhu recovers the big man. We call it the Eastern Han class. The Marquis of Wanli calmly recovered the 50 kingdoms of the western regions. Emperor Liu Zhuang of Han Ming set up the western regions to protect and manage water control for thousands of years. Buddhism came to our country. Liu Zhuang established the first temple in our country, the White Horse Temple. Respect for morality and immediately virtue. Taoism, which imitates nature, was born. Cai Lun's improvements in papermaking influenced the world. The seismograph invented by Zhang He 1,700 years earlier than the West. Take care to cast into the world's first dictionary. Zhang Zhongjing's typhoid fever miscellaneous disease is an immortal work in the history of traditional Chinese medicine. Wu Qian opera created by Hua Tu. Have you seen it with your own eyes in People's Square? In the blink of an eye, the late Eastern Imperial power is weak. Zhang Jiao said that the sky is dead. Huangqian Dangli, then in Jiazi, the good luck of the world sounded the death knell of the Eastern Han dynasty. Yuan Shao attacked and killed the eunuch. After Quang Fu Han, Dong Zhuo entered Beijing to control the government. Calamity dynasty. This is a heroic event, and times full of regret. Zhuge Liang-made dragon squadron rekindled the majesty of the middle-aged man Liu Bei. A generation of heroes, Cao Cao lamented the song of wine, geometry of life, blue purple gold, yo-yo my heart. Zhang Zuo's beautiful husband, Zhou Yu, Zhou Ganjin defends Yangdong at the same time. It also makes the rhythm the ultimate beauty. However, regrets of history are also coming at this moment. Zhou Yu Chibi, a fire destroyed Cao Cao's dream of unification, caused the establishment of the Wei Shu and Wu kingdoms. Mai Cheng buried the proud bones of Guan Yu, the god of fortune. Battle of Yiling. Lu Xun not only burned the sulphur books of the White Emperor city, it has burned up the hope of the third generation of the Shu army. Despite all your efforts, dead. Wu Zhangyuan's autumn wind still blew Cheng away. Phase ideal. Liu Bei and Cao Cao. Sun Quan fought against each other for half his life. In the end, it was Sima Yan, Sima Yi's grandson, unified the country. At 266, Sima Yan persecuted Cao Cao's grandson, Cao Huan's unit, established the Jin dynasty. We call it the three families returning to Jin. The Jin dynasty is divided into Western Jin and Eastern Jin. The Jin dynasty is a dynasty that people don't want to mention. Sima's short-lived unification, but soon, because of the evil Queen Gan Nanfeng's uneven distribution, it led to the 16-year rebellion of the Eight Kings. Huaxia land is abandoned. Refugees everywhere. Internally displaced nomads take advantage of the situation. And the Dark Five handfuls. It kicked off in China. This is a dark age. China is falling apart again. Multiple nomadic groups have established more than 20 countries. We are collectively known as the 5 Lakes and 16 Kingdoms. To Han. The contradiction between Yanmisha Lake and Han Lake is getting until Xianbai Tuoba City unified the north. Achieve internal integration. The dark 5 Lakes and 16 Kingdoms can be stopped. Then came the second half of the 5 Lakes and 16 Kingdoms, refers to the northern and southern dynasties. Golden Iron Horse, the grassroots of the watershed that swallow thousands of miles like a tiger. Destroy the eastern Jin dynasty. We call it Liu Song. The northern and southern dynasties officially entered the stage of history. He Songzizhu of Liu Song wrote the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Liu Yuan of the northern Wei dynasty. Geography masterpiece Crystal Pillars. Zhu Chongji Pi to 7 decimal places. It often plays out to the world, and major events will be combined for a long time. At 581, Yang Jian was born. Usurping the state to build Yang Jian ended more than 300 years of chaos. Unified the country again. This is a short-lived dynasty that debuted and reached its peak. Sui when Emperor Yang Jian establishes imperial examination system. Can also have a noble son. East-west symmetry. Daxing city with distinct north and south. Known as the world's first city. The Grand Canal of the Sui dynasty connected the north and south water systems. Eat the fruits of the south. The familiar Jiaozhou Bridge, after more than 1,400 years of rain, snow, still standing. Although the Sui dynasty lasted only 38 years, but he let Chinese civilization once again stand on the top of the world. In 618 Adili Yuan overthrew the Sui dynasty, established the Tang dynasty. It was a time of force and literature. Gunpowder was first used for warfare in the Tang dynasty, later spread to various European countries. General Qinzhan, Emperor Taizong of Tang Li Shimin, set up Anxi Temple Town to consolidate the rule of Zhenguan, voice of the prosperous Tang dynasty. Same period, Songzhan Gampo builds the Potala Palace, unified the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. They say there is no lack of oxygen here, but there is no lack of faith. I don't know if there are any of your poems in distant places here. Back in time to the Tang dynasty, the same power that men can have that women can have. So Wu Zixin changed the country name of the Tang dynasty to Zhou, made the world the most grand founding ceremony in history. Wu Zixin, she became the only legitimate female emperor in Chinese history. Wake up in old age. Wu Zixin returned the country to Tang. In the Tang dynasty, what the generals yearn for most is probably Wang Wei's life. Move 3,000 miles. A sword once became a million division, but Du Fu's beacon fire lasts for March. Letters from home are the truest portrayal of war. It turns out that when life is short, Li Bai can say, don't you see? The water of the Yellow River comes from the sky, run to the sea, and never return. Don't you see Gauteng Mingjing's sad white hair, like blue silk turning into snow? Du Fu lamented that Wan Li was often a guest in autumn. 100 years of illness alone. I don't know how many wandering wanderers. Emperor Jiwanzong of Tang dynasty. The Tang dynasty was taken to a whole new level. Kaiyuan prosperous era has become the most powerful prosperous era in our country. Different skin tones during the period. A steady stream of foreign business people in different languages. They have all witnessed the greatness of this eastern power. I also heard the laughter of the concubine of Hongshun. No one knows that it is the sarcasm from Lichi. The ancients said that prosperity will decline. And Shi rebellion caused by Anlu Mountain, bringing the Tang dynasty into the abyss. After the Tang dynasty suppressed the rebellion with the power of the state, did not welcome Pijitali. Luo Bao scholar Wan Chao said that until autumn comes on September 8th, after I bloom, 100 flowers kill. So in 880, Adide, he led his troops into Chang'an, the capital of the Tang dynasty. Dynasty only understood. It turns out that he killed Chang'an. It is much easier than entering Chang'an. Flowing water, fallen leaves, time doesn't stay in one era forever. At 907, Li Xichu, the last emperor of the Tang dynasty, the throne to Jun. Zhu Wen built the backbeam. Then appeared one after another in the later Tang dynasty, and later Jin dynasty, later Han and later Zhou dynasties, and Qianshu, Haoshu Nanwu, 10 regimes including the southern Tang dynasty. So we call it the 5 generations and 10 kingdoms. Waxia civilization was pressed the pause button at this moment. Xi Jinping cedes the natural barrier to Yoyun for 16 weeks. Give it to Hitan. Caused the Central Plains to be flat for 400 years. Li Yu, the heir of the southern Tang dynasty, speechless. Go to the west building alone. The moon is like lonely a Wutong deep courtyard locks Jingku. It's a mess. It's sadness, don't be the same taste in my heart. Until 960 AD, Zhao Kuangyin and Chen Qiaobing Hall established the Song dynasty was divided into Northern Song and Southern Song. Although Zhao Kuangyin failed to complete the general intention. But he's over. The division of Jiangnan and Central Plains, it was an era when the literati reached their pinnacle. It was also an era when generals failed to realize their dreams. There was a tit-for-tat confrontation in the Liao dynasty. There was today's Tiger Vision Dandan. Zhang Ziyi said to establish a heart for heaven and earth for the people. In order to continue the study of sainthood, peace for the world. Read it every time and give people a sense of mission and a sense of righteousness. The Picture of the Qingming River by Zhang Zhiduan draws a true portrayal of the people of the Northern Song dynasty. Wang Zimeng's 1,000 Miles of Country it depicts the wonders of nature. Wang Anshi's Wang Anshi reform method of financial management and army reorganization. It didn't stop the Jin army from breaking through Kaifeng city. At 1127, Jin army breaches Kaifeng. Second Emperor Wenqing together with princes and ministers, 3,000 were captured and headed north. Kaifeng city was ransacked. The shame of Jin Kang died in the Northern Song dynasty that doesn't die. Zhao Go led his army south from Jinan, go to Nanjing Yingshanfu to become emperor. We call it the Southern Song dynasty. Here the literati write to inspire the hearts of the army. The generals set out to recover the Central Plains. Shin Kiji can write lyrics. From generation to generation, martial arts can be used to kill the enemy, and he said that I see how charming the Green Mountains are. It should be like this when I see you in Qingshan. He said that he was drunk and looked at the sword. Dream back to blowing horns. He said he was thinking back then. Golden iron horse, swallowing like a tiger. Lu Yu said that lying at night listening to the wind and rain, iron horse glacier dreams. Yu Fei said Jinkang was ashamed. Yue Zukan hates. When will it go out? So he led the Yu army to attack Jiangnan. Recover health. The northern expedition reclaimed. Jin Ren said that Han Shan Yihan, Yu Jia Jun difficulty. Therefore, it is not wrong for Qin Hui to kill Yu Fei and kneel for 1,000 years. Just as the Central Plains were fighting and killing, Genghis Khan and his descendants has swept across Eurasia. After the Mongolian cavalry destroyed Xixia and Ziliao, he aimed its scimitar at the Southern Song dynasty again. 1279, a battle of Asen. Southern Song soldiers and civilians against Mongolian strong men. Doesn't want to be a kingdom slave. So he carried the 8-year-old young master of the Southern Song dynasty by throwing yourself into the sea. About 100,000 people jumped into the sea one after another for the Southern Song dynasty. At 1271, Kublai Khan founding member. The Yuan dynasty not only unified the whole country, his territory has exceeded all previous generations. Map of China also issued travel. Opera reached its peak in the Yuan dynasty. Yuanzong restored the imperial examination system. Fully embrace Han culture. The Yuan dynasty perfectly interpreted the righteousness of the country. It's hard to defend the country. In just 89 years, 11 emperors were passed down. A generation of famous ministers are determined to rectify, but failed to save the Yuan dynasty. 1368 AD, Zhu Yuanzhang, who was born a beggar, wiped out the heroes. Overthrow Yuan Ting, founding Demeng Zhenyu and Hongwu. Yoyun's 16 states with 400 years of once again included in the Chinese territory. This is a dynasty that is praised by future generations as the toughest. Wu He Qin Wu Nagang. Yongle Emperor moved his capital to Beijing, open a precedent for the death design of the king who guards the country's gates. Zheng He's voyages spread Chinese civilization to Western countries. Yongle ceremony with more than 370 million words. It became the largest encyclopedia in the world at the time. Wang Yangming psychology advocates the unity of knowledge deeply and influenced Japan and North Korea. Journey to the West Water Margin, the 4 wonderful books of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Let the lives of ordinary people no longer be boring. Li Shijin wrote a compendium of Materia Medica for Decheng, hailed by the British as the Prince of Pharmacy. It doesn't hear the time like a horse with a whip. The sun and the moon are like falling flowers. More than 200 years later, Li Zikang destroyed the Ming dynasty, established a Shun. However, another love brain, Wu Sanbui, raging the crown is a beauty. In 1644, Wu Sanbui opened Shanhaiguan, lure the Qing army into the customs. Soon after, the Qing unified the country again. Kanshi confidently opened the door to the world. Yongzheng vigorously reformed the forces of hard steel, and Qianlong knows the outside world well, has already undergone tremendous changes, but closed the country. British 59 billion tech gifts. Let Qianlong feel fluttered. Dismissive. When the Qianlong Shiquan martial arts record was completed, the New York Stock Exchange was established. When Jacking assessed the uprising of the White Lotus sect, American inventors in France built the first steamship. In 1814, the British invented the train, changed the way humans travel. Opium War of 1840. The British used a rape cannon. opened the door to the Qing dynasty. In 1842, the Qing dynasty signed the Treaty of Nanjing. The Taiping Heavenly Kingdom movement against ship sealing also ended in failure. After the Second Opium War, Sino-Japanese Jiao War, the Qing dynasty was all defeated in the War of Invasion of China by the 8 powerful allied forces. Relics are scattered overseas. Fun General So withstands external and internal pressure. Raise the official and go out to recover Xinjiang. Accompanied by the Treaty of Tianjin, Beijing Treaty, Treaty of Shimonoseki, Treaty of Shu, the Qing dynasty became a semi-colonial and semi-feudal society. 10 years of recruiting Nan Liang's blood was frustrated in one day. Unabated ambition. In 1909, Zhan Tianyu, completely independently designed by the Chinese, operating Beijing Jiangjiakou Railway, Wuchang Uprising succeeded. The countdown to the Qing dynasty has entered. In 1912, the last emperor of the Qing dynasty, Pu Yisuan, abdication. Dr. Sun Yat-sen announced the establishment of the Republic of China. In 1919, against imperialism and feudalism, the May 4th movement broke out on a small boat in Nanhu, Zhejiang, in 1921. The Great Communist Party of China was born. 1931, Made in Japan September 18th incident. Provoke a war of aggression against China. In 1932, Nanshuko was established in northeast China. July 7, 1937, Japanese-made Lugokyo incident. Total anti-Japanese war broke out. Battle of Songhu in 1937. Battle of Nanjing. Battle of Taiyuan. Battle of Shuzhou broke out. Fall of Shanghai. Nanjing fell. Japanese in Nanjing. The horrific Nanjing massacre was carried out. In 1941, the Chinese Expeditionary Force crossed the border to Burma. The Battle of Burma broke out. 1944 Battle of Tulip Laurel begins. On August 15, 1945, Japan announced its unconditional surrender. 6 years of partial anti-Japanese war. Our country lost more than 50 million people. The Liberation War broke out in June 1946. The Communist Party of the People. The war was won in just 3 years. October 1, 1949, accompanied by the March of the Volunteers, Chairperson Mao announced, the People's Republic of China was officially established. The first 5-star red flag rising in Tiananmen Square. The People's Air Force flying formation flew over the capital. Workers and peasants, citizens hold high red flags to celebrate the birth of the Republic. In 1950, the Chinese People's Volunteers resumed operations in 1956. The Chinese made their own. The first Jifang brand car. October 16, 1964, Deng Xiaoxian and others participated. The first atomic bomb developed by China successfully exploded, become the 5th in the world. A country with nuclear weapons. June 17, 1967, China's first hydrogen bomb successfully exploded. April 24, 1970, China's first artificial satellite, Dongfeng Hong-1, launch. The music of Oriental Red spread from space to all over the world. 1997, return of Hong Kong to China. 1999, return of Macau. In 2003, China launched the Shenzhou V manned spacecraft. Since 1932, my Chinese athlete Lu Changchun has gone to the meeting alone, participating in the Olympics alone. In 2008, it was held in Beijing, China. The grand opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, October 1, 2019, the People's Republic of China. The 70th anniversary conference was held in Beijing. We were born under a red flag, growing in the spring breeze. The light we follow is the light of a 5-pointed star, willing to remember Wenxia and give the years to the mountains and rivers. Let's witness together the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Looking back, Golden October is still the chess game of ancient October. China has lasted 5,000 years, and the opponent changed round after round. The land where the emperors lived, it is still their children and grandchildren who live today. Writing thousands of years ago, articles from thousands of years ago are still being used today. Reading. 5,000 years of ups and downs. China has experienced twists and turns. We've had some great successes.